So you don't have a ton of money to spend out in freeze-dried foods and specialty foods for your vehicle emergency kit. Well, there's a ton of stuff you can buy over the counter in your everyday grocery store that you can keep in your vehicle for emergencies. And today we're going to go over 17 emergency foods that you can keep in your vehicle. Let's check it out. All right, folks, welcome back. So in any kind of bug out or emergency scenario, if you're bugging out, you're likely to spend a lot of time in your vehicle. And maybe you're going to be traveling from one destination to the next or whatever. This means a vehicle well stocked with survival supplies is probably going to be one of the most important components in a bug out plan. And food, of course, is the most essential supply of that stockpile. Before you start tossing groceries in the trunk of your car, it's important to note that not all foods are good for storing in vehicles. And trust me, I'm out here in the desert, okay? I can tell you what works and what doesn't in extreme hot temperatures. Some of this stuff will in other environments and some won't. So things like chocolate candy bars may not be the smartest thing for me to stock in my vehicle, but everything will probably work out pretty well if you just stick to some basic food items. So today, we're going to take a look at these 17 emergency food items that you should keep in your vehicle for emergencies. And if you don't want to run out and spend a fortune buying a bunch of these are cheaper and you can get it right at your local grocery store. So we're going to start off with beef jerky, all right? And I got some here, flaming hot, okay? And I would get a bigger bag. This is more for just a demonstration point. The beef jerky is a tasty snack. It's really high in protein and calories. It's also a food that has a shelf life of up to 2 years and can withstand temperature extremes. Trust me, I've had this stuff in my back of my car sometimes, back in the day before I went to freeze-dried stuff, for 3 years, and it was perfectly fine. So these are things that I have also tried in my vehicle for a couple years and know that they will work. So that will definitely work pretty darn good. Next up, instant oatmeal. However you do it. I like to keep a couple of these. Even now, to this day, I keep a couple of these in my vehicle. A couple packs. You can buy a big pack. You can throw them all in there if you want. You have to have a way, of course, to boil water. And this isn't food. This isn't all food that doesn't need to be cooked. This is just stuff that will last a good long time in your vehicle. It also has a nice long shelf life, up to 2 years in any kind of vehicle. And it isn't very high in fat or protein, but it does have a lot of filling carbs. So definitely instant oatmeal. All right, number 3. This is something you may not think would last a long time. Deluxe mixed nuts. People, for some reason, seem to think that nuts will go bad in your vehicle or get rotten or hard. Or if you keep them sealed up, they are easily good for 5 years. When I first made my first car bug out kit, I had food in the car for emergencies. I had nuts. I had a bunch of other stuff in there that work very, very well. They're convenient, high in calories and protein. They require no preparation, give you a quick boost of energy when you need it the most. Now, the next one, and you're going to have to be a little careful. I was kind of careful with what I bought because there's certain types that will and certain types that won't, and that's trail mix. Now, most trail mixes, if you don't have M&Ms in them, will do pretty darn good. Unfortunately, I think, let's see, nope, there are no M&Ms in this one. I thought I took the wrong one off my shelf. Those are just pecans. But just nuts and raisins, they'll last a good 2 years in your vehicle. They won't melt, they won't get nasty, and it's a very calorie-rich that's easy to store. And again, no preparation at all. The dried fruits and trail mix offer plenty of energy-boosting sugars, and the mixed nuts offer a bunch of healthy fats in it too. So definitely a good thing to store in your vehicle. All right, now we're getting into the junk food. Yeah, ramen noodles. Okay, the more you spend on ramen noodles, the longer they'll last. I'm gonna tell you that straight up. The good Japanese ramen type noodles. This is close to a decent ramen. They will last a little bit longer. They won't go stale on you, and the heat seems to somehow preserve them. I've had them in my vehicle in the past. I don't have them anymore, but I had them in my vehicle for a good 2.5 to 3 years, and took them out to eat them eventually when I started putting freeze-dried stuff in there. And I'll be darned, they didn't taste like they'd been sitting in a room and gotten stale. So definitely ramen noodles. Again, I say once a season you should go through your stuff in your vehicle, your emergency food kit, and rotate it out, but definitely will last you a while if you need them to last that long. All right, now here's one that I've tested myself, and we've actually tested on the channel. MREs, okay? I have had MREs in my vehicle for up to 5 years. Now, I know that's way past their shelf life. They seem to last pretty darn long. And if you've ever served in the military, you're probably familiar with them. They're prepackaged. They can be purchased in bulk by civilians. They're easy to store, have a good long shelf life, have almost no preparation. And that's an excellent item to store in your vehicles. Now, the nutrients of MREs will vary from meal to meal, but they are typically filling and nutritious. And usually one MRE can fill 2 people. It may not look like a lot of food, but trust me, once you start eating it, you will see it's a lot of food. And they do like the heat, all right? I had an MRE in the back of my vehicle in a bug-out bag that I almost switched completely over to freeze-dried food for 3.5 years. Took it out, ate it on the channel. Perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, not a single problem with it. So, again, you want to rotate them out as much as you can, but if you forget something, it's not going to freak out. It's not going to be the end of the world. Now, I'm going to also tell you something that requires water, and we'll get to water in a second, but powdered Gatorade or powdered Propel, anything with electrolytes in it. I like Propel better myself, but pretty good. Has the same Gatorade electrolytes in it. And these are little tubes. They're very, very handy. If you have a couple of single water bottles, little 8-ounce water bottles, you can dump one of those in there, shake it up, get rehydrated very, very quickly, okay? It'll give you a tasty alternative to bottled water. It's full of energy-boosting sugars that will get you through the day, and it has about a 2-year shelf life if it's left unopened. Those little packages, I had about 10 of them in my work bag when I worked for the gun shop here in town. And we would travel a lot out to front site and back to sell ammo. And those got beat around good 5-6 years. And I took them out and used them. They're as good as new. Not a single problem with them. And they've been in hot and cold. Now, along that line, you're going to want bottled water. Now, I have a Nalgene bottle here. I would suggest bottling your own water. I know that sounds weird because you can go to the store and you can buy a 12-pack of bottled water and toss it in there. The bottles don't seem to hold up as well anymore. They degrade very quickly. They'll get kind of sucked in, and it'll suck in all the dust and dirt around it. They do tend to gather whatever's around them. So if you put them in a bag with other foods, that water might end up tasting like it. They're kind of permeable, and they will suck in the stuff around. So I suggest a big thing of water, maybe a 5-gallon jug, but also a couple of Nalgene bottles full of fresh water. You'd be amazed at how even warm water will quench your thirst and make you feel a whole lot better. So if you're preparing for a bug-out scenario, remember, the human body can go like 2 weeks without food, 3 weeks without food, but it can only go 3 days without water. So if you get stuck somewhere, and believe me, living out here, if you'll drive a little bit out of town, all right, you guys that have been to Rachel, Nevada to see Area 51 and all that, you know what the roads are like out here. You could break down on the side of the road and be forgotten for a week. It's very desolate. Make sure you got water. And like I said, put them in something a little bit stronger than, say, the regular water bottles. These are kind of sturdy. They'll last a good long time. And plus, you don't have to buy them. You just have to buy the things, the containers. All right, this one's going to be a little weird, but I bet you haven't thought about it. Multivitamins. If you're stuck in your vehicle for a very, very long time, say 3 or 4 days, say you went off a cliff and you managed to live through it and nobody knows you're off there and you're going to have to be there a week. These things can help you, okay? They can really, really help you. It may not count as a food, but it's still a beneficial thing to store in your vehicle along with other items, okay? If you want to ensure you're getting the nutrients that you need during a bug-out scenario or an emergency, something like that is going to be really, really good and handy. Now, a good multivitamin can supplement a limited diet and will ensure that you're still getting all the nutrients you need to remain strong, healthy, and energetic. So definitely toss the thing, multivitamins in there. They were like $8 at Walmart. They're super cheap, and they can definitely help you. If you want to get more expensive ones, feel free. I know some people will tell me, there's only 2% vitamins in there. That's no good. It's better than nothing. So get yourself a thing of vitamins, toss them in your car food kit. All right, next up's going to be a little weird one. I bet you haven't thought of this, but these last forever. Pinto beans. It's a prepper shelf stable. It's been very, very filling for years. They're easy to prepare. They don't take a lot of water or a lot of heat, so you're not going to be using up all that fuel that you have in your vehicle, in your bug-out vehicle. You're not going to be using it all up just to cook them. You just boil them up a little bit, and they're very, very handy to have around, and they definitely are filling. They're also one of the healthier items you can store in your vehicle for an extended period of time. Now, of course, you're going to need a water container, an ability to start a fire, or a little mini stove or whatever, but definitely something to think about if you want something that lasts a good long time and is a little bit healthier. Okay, we're on number 11, and that is protein bars. These guys right here. Now, I know these guys look like chocolate, and they do have chocolate in the middle of them, but on the outside, they're graham crackers. And these things are awesome, and they will get a little soft in the heat, but they're not like chocolate ones. They'll just be mush when you take them out. And that's why I like them. They also give me a whole lot of energy. I discovered them actually when I was going to the gym in the middle of winter, and I was cold and I was tired and I really didn't want to do it. And I'm like, I see everybody in there eating a protein bar. I'm going to try one. And I bought these Power Crunch Pros, and these things are really, really good. And they come in bunches of different flavors if you don't like chocolate, so that's really easy. Okay, the next one, my favorite, number 12, Spam. Now, granted, this is not the healthiest food in the world, all right? But it is the only meat product that can be stored outside of a refrigerator for up to 5 years without spoiling. And trust me, I've gone 10 to 15 and it hasn't spoiled, okay? If calories and protein are what you're after, Spam isn't that bad in terms of nutritional value. Like ramen noodles, high in sodium Spam can also help replace some of the sodium you lose from sweating and strenuous process of bugging out or fixing a tire at the side of the road in the middle of a desolate area. Definitely something to think about, all right? It's got a lot of salt in it, but it's not something you want to eat every day, but it's definitely a good meal. All right, now here's another little interesting feature here. Macaroni and cheese. Why am I getting these boxes? They're more expensive. Why would you want to do that? Because they don't require milk. Now, yeah, you can store powdered milk, and then you can add some water to it, and you're wasting your water that you should be drinking. And I just prefer to get the cheese sauce in the metal container. These you definitely want to rotate every year. Reason being is that cheese sauce will get very rubbery, and you'll toss it in the macaroni when it's hot, and it just won't melt. It'll just sit there. So you definitely want to rotate them out, but I've had it up to about 1.5 years in my vehicle without any ill effects. So it definitely does the job. It definitely works. And it's kind of a nice little treat on the side, something that you like. It requires boiling water, but it is one of those comfort foods. And, a good can of Spam and macaroni and cheese can make 2 or 3 meals, depending. So it's definitely a filling food. All right, next up. Now, unfortunately, they didn't have the cheap stuff at the store when I went for this video to shop. Instant coffee. I have this very same instant coffee because I love this Starbucks instant French roast. Not a big fan of Starbucks, but I love their coffee. Their little instant roast coffees. And this stuff is really good, very easy to prepare. Boil some water. Even a cup of water sitting on the roof of your car in an environment like I live in, that'll get up there pretty close to boiling. And toss this in there, mix it around. You got yourself a cup of coffee. You got yourself a little more energy, a little bit more what you're used to. And these can last 20 years without spoiling. And also, instant coffee is super easy to prepare. All you got to do is boil water and dump it in. Real simple. You can add more water if you find these to be too strong for you. Usually I get that Taster's Choice, the black and purple stuff. The preferred blend or whatever it's called. Usually that's what I get. It's a little bit tastier and better. This is kind of strong, but every once in a while I figure on the side of the road, I'm bugged out, there's a disaster going on, whatever, I'm going to want the strongest coffee I can get to stay awake. So that's definitely a good thing. All right, next thing, breakfast bars. Okay, now I've got 2 types here. I've got this guy here. These Nature Valley breakfast bars are great, and they hold up very well long term. They will hold up to the heat, to the cold. And these guys here, another thing that I found out, these little Great Value fruit and grain cereal bars. I found out that these will last a ridiculously long time. Again, when I worked for the gun shop, had a few of these in my bag. They're pretty much what I'd have for breakfast. I'd have a bar for breakfast and my coffee while I was out there selling ammo. So yes, we would have our breakfast out there, and I'd just get a bar and eat it. It was easier than making food or bringing food from home or whatever. So that's pretty much what I ate for breakfast those days. And again, they were in my bag for years at a time. Never went bad. Never had a bad one. They got smushed. They got crushed down. They got broken. Never had a bad tasting one. These Nature Valley ones have a little more nutrition in them. No artificial flavors or colors, and they will last a good long time in your vehicle. And it's a handy meal for a breakfast when you don't have to cook it. All right, let's move on to the 16th item. This one is actually really awesome, and if you had a bag like this, you understand you can just sit there and eat these all day long, picking them open. Sunflower seeds, okay? Now, you can get these shelled if you don't want to open them up. I find I like kind of keeping my hands busy by opening them up, but they're definitely a little more effort to eat than most food, but they aren't exactly the best way to fill up quickly. However, that said, by breaking these open over time, you always have a little bit of a snack. You're taking a little break, you pop a few open, you eat them. They keep you stable. They keep your blood sugar stable, everything stable. They're really, really good for keeping yourself fed while in a disaster situation. Now, the last item, peanut butter. And I had it on the side here where you couldn't see it. But peanut butter, definitely something really, really good. I like the creamy. Some people like the chunky. Doesn't matter. Both have a really long shelf life. Can tolerate heat very well. Can tolerate cold very well. In the heat, it will separate a little bit. Just take a spoon, a knife, whatever, mix it up. You're back in business. It lasts very, very long just on your shelf. And it's also a good prepper staple as well. So it's a simple way to get a ton of calories and protein in a lightweight, easy to store package. You can get these in all sorts of different things. You can even get powdered peanut butter. Again, though, you're using your water that you should be drinking to make a food. I prefer to just get a couple of these, toss them in a food bag, and be good to go. So anyway, those are 17 emergency foods that you can keep in your vehicle if you don't want to go the more expensive route of freeze-dried stuff and expensive stoves and all that. You want to just be very practical. All of this could fit in a Walmart bag or maybe two. Tie them up, toss them in the trunk of your car, and forget about them. Once a year, go in there and rotate them out. I would probably do every 6 months, but even once a year, none of this stuff's going to go bad on you. I've really never had any of these items back in my day when I used them go bad on me. So they're definitely good stuff. Now, of course, there's a whole lot more to a car emergency kit than just food. A whole lot more than just tossing some groceries in your trunk. And there's a whole lot more to bugging out than just food in your vehicle. But for those of you that commute, I'll give you a good example. Where we live here in Pahrump, Nevada, you will go over that mountain into Vegas if you work in Vegas, and you'll go over that every day. Rain, snow, sleet. Sometimes you'll get stuck up there. You can get stuck up there for 8-9 hours in the past while they're plowing it, or maybe they just shut it down while you're at the peak, and you got to wait. Now, yeah, you can call into work and say, hey, I'm not going to make it. I'm stuck on the mountain. But what are you going to do while you're waiting? You're going to get hungry. Maybe you need to put your medications in your vehicle as well if you take a regular medication every day. Just little things like that. But definitely stuff like this, even a bag of this and a couple of bottles of water, you're 1,000% ahead of a whole lot of folks that travel long distances. And I'll give you a good example of that one. A few years ago, they had it shut down overnight, and people were coming back from Vegas for work. And just the indignation of people. How could they shut this down? I have no food in my car. And I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, that's kind of your fault now, isn't it there, lady? Not to be rude, but, I have no water. This is horrible. We're going to be here 6 hours. And I'm like, well, you should have thought of that. Anyway, that's just some 17 items that I think you can keep in your vehicle. Saves you a whole lot of money. Now, the MREs, yeah, they can be a little expensive. But the rest of the stuff, you can go right now to your local Costco, Smith's, Walmart, whatever. Pick up this stuff really economically. I don't think all of this was $40. And toss it in a bag in the back of your vehicle and be pretty much assured that in a 6 month to a year period, it's all going to be perfectly fine to eat. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching today. Thanks for coming along. If you like the content, please give a thumbs up, a super like, whatever. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the content, and let your friends know about the channel. I think they'd be interested in preparedness. I do a whole lot of preparedness gear reviews, as well as occasional prepper tips. So don't forget to check out all our links down below. We have our Amazon affiliate store. If there's nothing in the store you want, just click the link, shop as you normally would, especially if you've got a big purchase coming up. We do appreciate when you do that. Our freeze-dried wholesaler link. That link will save you 15% on any of his food. Good stuff, and also good food to keep in the trunk of your car. Our My Patriot Supply link. That's preparewithiridium.com. We have $80 off a 4-week kit this month. So you can get yourself 4 weeks worth of dehydrated or freeze-dried food. It's kind of mixed together for $80 off. Now, that's under $200 for 4 weeks worth of food. 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, dinners, everything in there. It's at preparewithiridium.com, preparewithiridium.com. And, of course, our Thrive Life freeze-dried food store. You got to love Thrive. Good stuff. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.